Supreme Rice. Since the 1930s, supporting Louisiana farmers and communities throughout Louisiana. To find out more, go to supremerice.com. Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Modesto, tacos, tequila, whiskey here. Right next to walk-ons, just a short little walk over to Tiger Stadium. A really nice day. We're out on the patio here at Modesto.
Day.
Yeah, the
great day.
Temperatures are very mild today. We got some sun out and
a little warmer, Charlie. But here, Modesto, you got the patio where we are today, and you're in the shade. But also, it's always a little bit of a breezeway here. So it's not. We were kind of 50-50. You want to go indoors, outdoors. I got a feeling, Charlie. We made a good call.
I think you did.
We made a good call, Charlie.
I think you did. I think you did the right thing.
There we go.
Here,
and we'll be next door at Walk-Ons tomorrow. So it's kind of our Burbank swing, huh?
Yep, absolutely.
From Mike Anderson. I mean, listen, people. Charlie is very picky on how much gas mileage he uses. So he lives right over the hump.
Very centrally located.
Right over the bright side hump for Nicholson. And so from Mike Anderson's to Modesto to Walk-Ons, okay? So is that suffice, my man?
Yeah,
huh?
We're absolutely.
We aim to please here.
Absolutely.
Live at lunch.
You know, and the other thing
you
is.
get fed today, too? Huh? Get some little food?
Yes.
Huh? Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, they feed you well over here. And the specialty margaritas, by the way.
I like the berry, the skinny berry.
The skinny berry.
It's
okay.
good.
There's a
good.
pineapple one that is interesting, and there's one with I'm gonna butcher this, but it's the hot sauce. It's got a little not Tabasco, but it's got a little bit of a
not the tahini seasoning.
It's spicy.
Okay,
is the word I'm looking for.
Sometimes you can just drop a jalapeno in there, and that does.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a jalapeno type.
Not Charlie. You had to dig for jalapeno.
No. I was just. It's spicy. I was just looking for the right word.
Jalapenos is as old as when you first said that. What's your first nachos at the ballpark or at the stadium? Mine was a jazz game. Yeah, Superdome jazz
it was
game.
Saints for me. But
and we're like 10 years old. We're like, ooh, you going to eat one of those spicy peppers?
Uncle Alex, he was.
There you go.
Right
God
there
bless Uncle Alex.
Yeah,
that damn Uncle Alex has still got you stuck on him Saints.
He's responsible.
Saints
when I see him again one day,
yes.
I'm gonna say, he did. Lots happened since yesterday. Lots happened in the last week, but yesterday LSU made it official that Verge Ausberry would be the permanent athletic director. This was just as we were going off the air. Wade Rouse, every time I look at his name, I see it's Roos.
It's Roos.
Every time I look at it, in my head it's the other thing, but it's Roos.
There's a lot of grocery stores. Right?
He was named as the president, and then later yesterday afternoon. You had Verge named as the permanent athletic director. This, from the time that Brian Kelly was fired to the the governor's statements, it looked like LSU was going to be out of, I hate to keep using the word alignment, but they were going to have at the very best a disjointed search. My problem with this from the very beginning was that LSU was going to do things out of order, that you were going to have a president, but you were going to have to go hire a coach before you hired an athletic director, and that was going to be uncomfortable. That was going to present you with some potential problems down the road. We've seen enough of these things. When athletic directors don't hire coaches, or when coaches go to work for athletic directors that didn't hire them, it can work. Don't get me wrong, but boy, it's a whole lot easier when you do it the other way. What's that?
It hurts the hire.
Yeah,
it damages the hire.
It is a very difficult relationship. I made this analogy on Friday. with Richard Dixon when we were doing the first hour. I said, this is like putting two people on a blind date and saying, you got to get married when it's over, okay, to have an AD and a coach that are not in sync. So
I'm lost for analogy, Charlie, but it's just the coach, a coveted coach, you're getting a coach from a good situation who's having success and is making money, and they're willing to pay him more than originally when he accepted. So things are going good. You're going to pull a guy where, wait a minute, who's going to be my boss? Because when y'all name a permanent AD, he didn't hire me, and it's much easier for the guy that didn't hire him to launch him. And it's much easier for the coach, and we saw this with Woodward. Did he not get behind his hires?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So and then the last thing you wanted to see was the governor get involved. So, and certainly to get the governor involved publicly. Yeah.
Because there are governors involved all over the place.
And I had no problem with the governor being involved with the president's search. He's supposed to be, yes. Yeah. Okay. So from a week ago, and it was a week ago when Jeff Landry basically torpedoed Scott Woodward in public, that LSU's rallied. They really have. From putting Verge in place as the interim athletic director on Friday, we knew that the president would be hired on Tuesday. We were fairly certain it was Roos. Now, the curveball was, would they put a chancellor in charge of the Baton Rouge campus? And they did that with James Dalton. And then, as quickly as can be said, and you got to figure that this was all part of the deal. They were in that executive session a long time yesterday for a decision that, on the president at least, seemed like a foregone conclusion. They came out of there with a plan, and their plan was to have Roos as the president, to have Dalton as the chancellor, and to have Verge as the athletic director. Then you have this committee that Verge is leading that has 5 members on it, of which Roos is going to have some input. And as a president, he should have some input, okay? Well, now you've alleviated the problem of a coach going to work for an athletic director that didn't hire him. The athletic director is going to hire this coach. You don't have a problem of an athletic director being saddled with a coach that he didn't hire. This athletic director is going to hire the coach. And the president, the chancellor, they're all in line now. And the governor has been mercifully quiet on this front over the last 24 hours, and I hope that continues as far as athletics is concerned. Yes. Okay, so you got all of those things in place. That's a hell of a rally from where they were on Friday. Now you are doing things in the right order. I commend them. Okay, last Friday we blasted them. I'm gonna commend them. Okay, whether these are all the right people for the jobs or you like them or don't like them, you can debate that. But they are doing things in the right order. They're putting their people in the right places.
Agreed.
The next thing, out of an athletic director, what do you want? We've been through a few of these searches, Jimmy. The questions I get the most are, is he experienced? Is he an LSU guy? And is he a football guy?
Oh, you better. I got one that trumps all of them. Can you excite your donors?
Okay.
Can you raise money?
Yeah, raising money is. I'm talking about past athletic director things. This one is even more important.
We're
yes,
2025.
You're right.
So,
you're right. Can you raise money?
And all of those things count. Okay,
yeah.
Because what we said was, well, whoever you're going to replace Woody with, good luck finding a guy that's going to care about LSU as much as he does. Verge cares about LSU.
Yes, he's an LSU guy and he's a football guy.
Yes. All right, but the other thing is that, can he raise as much money as Woody? That's probably not his expertise or his history, but he's got more of a football background than Woody, so it might balance. But we all agree that the coaches have to entertain boosters, get them excited, and raise more money than usual. We can see that with different coaches. Lane Kiffin whines about it all the time. He's good at it. The basketball coach at NC State, he's good at it. The basketball coach here, not good at it. The football coach that just got fired, wasn't good at it. But Woody kind of cleaned it up, and it's kind of a two-headed monster. So can Verge excite, though, kind of be that two-headed monster with the next coach just play the game.
Yeah.
Be willing to play the game.
It's worth noting that the president used the word corporate funding yesterday in regards to research. Okay, this is the first president that I know that does not. Dalton is more the academician. He's got more of the academic background. Roos, put together programs there. He's got more of a business background. And when he used the term corporate I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but corporate funding for things like research is like, okay, I suspect that you found your money man. Okay. The next thing is, is Verge experience. He's been in the athletic department since 1991.
He's got a lot of experience.
He is a dinosaur. He's been around for so long, and of course, he's a former player. Everybody knows that. But he's been involved in the academic end, fundraising, corporate relations, game management. He was with TAF. There's not a piece of the athletic department that Verge Ausberry is not very, very familiar with. Okay, I was thinking this morning, Gordy's run our operation for going on 20 years, and the day he was hired, our owner came in and says, "Look, Gordy has worked in every portion of this building. He's worked in sales. He's worked on the air. He's worked with the engineers. He's done budgeting. He worked on our morning show on the country station. Remember Bull Rush? He was okay. There wasn't a single piece of our business that Gordy hadn't worked in, boots on the ground, and you can say that about Verge as well. The only thing he hasn't done is be the lead on a football coaching search. Well, most of the time, you get to do those with a lot of help. He's got a lot of help. Verge is not without fault. It was a very bad Title IX situation that caused his suspension back post-COVID. He served his suspension for that. That was a mistake. I think Verge would tell you that he made some mistakes in that, and he paid a penalty for it. So I'm not telling you that Verge has never made a misstep in the athletic department, but they went through that. There was a thorough investigation. They determined he had made mistakes. They punished him for it, and they moved on from that. So, in the interest of fairness, I have to mention that. What kind of coach are they looking for? I'm more reminded than ever in the last 24 hours with people I've talked to that money is not going to be an impediment.
I don't think so either.
If you think that, given the governor's comments about the big buyouts last week, are going to impede them on their search for a football coach, I would tell you I doubt it. If they do hire somebody that is making less than what Kelly made last year, it will be because that's the guy they decided on. But I don't think they're going to lose a guy over money. I really don't. I could be wrong.
Who clarified where the money is, whether it's coming from private donors or from taxpayers' money, in that media briefing last week? It was John Carmouche. Okay, and John Carmouche is involved in this, and he is also, it's easier to raise money when you're putting your own money up.
Yeah.
So I've heard plenty of donors, boosters, whatever, just even said that when they went to this event, I don't know, 9 months ago, whatever it was, in the offseason, to try and strum up some NIL, a.k.a. player budget. So, well, man, they're thinking, like, well, why don't you put up some of your own money, Brian Kelly? Well, he did.
Yeah.
Well, why did he do that? He didn't do it just because that was just wanted to contribute. That was it, to try and stimulate other contributions. It's easier to do so. We learned a lot in this evolution of college football coaching changes and administrative changes and everything else. But one thing I learned, and I think you can vouch for this as well, is that LSU's private donor bank is pretty strong. It's they got a handful of cats who make it pretty strong collectively. And
I would also tell you that the financial base of the university's athletic department is pretty firm.
Yes. You're in the SEC,
well.
and you're in the top half of the SEC or the upper branch, wherever you put them in the upper branch, it's fine.
And I'm going to go back to the interview I did with Scott Woodward before the opener. Every year we sit down, and I asked him about private equity, which is something that the Big Ten is getting in bed with, that schools like USC and Michigan have kind of said, hang on a second, before we take all this cash from these people, what kind of input are they going to have? And Woodward, as has Greg Sankey, was very, very clear about this. We're not excited about that possibility. We have enough money. Not only do we have enough money, we have enough credit that we really don't want, just for this big cash grab, this one-time cash grab, and it's in the billions for the Big Ten. We don't want to do that and cede control of any control of our operation to a hedge fund or whatever.
It doesn't fit for the guys on the top end. And give or take, LSU's football program is top 10 financial stability.
Yeah. And
their athletic department is probably in top 10 financial stability. Okay, no, that we're not talking about the elite. The ones in that, no, they're like LSU as far as getting private equity would be like Notre Dame getting a conference.
Yeah,
if
they were cash
in a
strapped,
good situation.
Yeah,
yes,
LSU and the conference, if they were cash strapped, they would take. Would take this deal. So I think they're in very good shape there. So that's
a little stability.
Yeah. They came a long way in 5 days.
And like we said, we can argue whether Verge is the right guy or not. But no, he's experienced. He's a football guy. Lord knows he's. I mean,
LSU guy, football guy, experienced.
You might
guy.
be able to do better. You could do a lot worse. But it cleans up some of the film of the hire. It makes it a little bit more attractive.
Now, I don't know.
I know who my boss is going to be.
Yes. Now, I don't know who he's going to hire as football coach. Who the group is going to hire as football coach. That's right. I'm holding it to myself. Maybe the second segment. Tell everybody about what's going on here at Modesto, and then I'll tell you when we come back.
Of course, we rotate here in the Go Eat the places. Okay, as far as Roca Pizzeria, Modesto. Hey. I did it the last two Thanksgivings, man. Yes, indeed. Load it up for the holiday. Let Roca do your holiday cooking for you. Make memories with your family and friends this Thanksgiving by ordering Roca's Heat and Serve gourmet spread from fridge to table in under 2 hours. So you talk about available for pre-order now through 5 p.m. Saturday. That's right, 5 p.m. Saturday before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is on the 27th. Pickup is on the 26th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The bundles like the Roca's Holiday Table with the whole smoked turkey, 6 classic sides, gravy, good company pecan pie feeds 8 to 10. The whole smoked turkey and pecan pie is another bundle. You can do a la carte. The whole smoked turkey gravy, the sides like cornbread dressing, sweet potato casserole, which is outstanding. They even tell you to put the meringue in the freezer, Charlie, till serving time. Put it right on so it's really fresh. Details, Charlie, details.
Yeah,
potatoes au gratin, green bean casserole, cranberry chutney, the herb focaccia. In the Black Friday eats as well. Smoked brisket, Roca meatballs, Brussels sprouts, mac and cheese, spinach and artichoke dip. It's good. It is flawless execution when you go pick up. They got the refrigerated truck right there, and boom, they got you on a list. It is in and out in a couple of minutes, and everything is easy to order on their website. So, hey, man, Roca Pizza, Roca for Thanksgiving Thanksgiving food this Thanksgiving.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we remind you that the show is available on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. And that is brought to you by Supreme Rice, supporting our Louisiana farmers since the 1930s. For more information, go to SupremeRice.com. Today is the SEC teleconference. Frank Wilson, of course, now doing that for LSU as the interim head coach. 2 big pieces of information came out of that. Number one is that Whit Weeks is doubtful. Yeah, is about the best way that I could put it. He says he's optimistic about Carius Kern, but Whit Weeks not so much. More doubtful. We'll see at practice. I'm hopeful, but not sure. That does not sound like a guy that today's Wednesday is going to play 72 hours ish from now. So the optimism at the beginning of the week about getting Whit Weeks back seems to have dimmed a little bit. Carius Kern, he thinks, has a chance to play.
What's his injury? It's been this long.
Whit Weeks. It is a bone bruise on his ankle, and as I understand it, it's the kind of the higher part of the ankle, so it's painful as hell. It's just you can't push off on it. I can't tell you any more than that.
I know. All I know is like Dr. Albergamo told me a long time ago that foot heals so slow.
Yeah.
You're on it.
I didn't see it, but it's the ankle, and it's a deep bruise, and it just hurts like hell. What can you say?
Okay.
Kern, they're more optimistic that he can play. If not, I'm guessing you're going to see some combination of DJ Chester and Weston Davis. Makes it a lot harder for LSU in what was not going to be an easy game to start with.
Auburn and LSU, their first interim game of the season. Auburn goes to Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt is could be a vulnerable spot. I mean, this is a tough 4-week stretch for Vanderbilt. They have been in some games, huh?
And they
all
kept
three of these
after it,
games, even though they were down 34-6.
They
got their hands on the ball,
Mm-hmm.
with 30 seconds to go. So, I mean, that's a lot of juice.
I thought it was a lot last week. That's why I picked Texas.
Oh, no, it was.
Yeah.
Well,
and so it's a week later.
This much more. I mean, they're just not – this is uncharted waters for that program, for this team.
Right. I would expect not a terribly different offensive approach for LSU. Auburn, I don't know. They haven't been able – they're going to change something.
LSU, we don't know. LSU will be committed to balance.
They'll run the ball more.
They will.
They'll run the ball more.
I mean, he Frank lets you know, and I mean, you have. That's the only way to give that offensive line a chance. Man, they just have to hope you can get some production. Doesn't mean they're going to be effective running the ball. Doesn't mean that once they get down it, but early and when the game is in hand, just in the balance, they're going to be committed to run. I'm convinced of that.
And at Auburn, all off season and all through camp, what did you hear about Auburn's offense? Once you got past quarterback, receivers. They got the best receiver, the talented receiver.
The defense has good personnel too. It was his best roster.
It was
his best roster.
And I would imagine that they would try to get the ball to some of those receivers, but they just haven't been able to.
And they tried to make a move last week with the backup, and he was worse than Arnold, I would think. But the one that humored all of us, including Max, months ago, they made a statement about it again. Well, so-and-so's taking over all the calls, first, second, and third down. What?
That was crazy when we heard it. It was crazy, and it no matter how much they did it, in its execution, it produced one of the worst offenses we've seen. From a head coach who is supposed to be.
Arnold was really bad, though. He's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But really, you got a guy calling first down plays. Well, how do you sequence plays?
That never made any sense.
It's just, and let Charlie even admit, big win for Auburn. I'm like, it's Baylor. You can only run that quarterback draw so many times before they take that away. And
he never developed.
They were. I was shocked, and this is one we got right. I was shocked. I'm sorry. I know Duke was quick. I know Duke, gave him a 2-year deal. I mean, they had to give Arnold something similar. They had to.
I guess.
Not now.
Right,
I know, but go back. Don't go back.
He was a highly recruited kid. I felt about.
He was injured. They had a ton of injuries. There were people that thought they could fix him. Mensa was more set, but a lower level, and But there were. I'm sorry. It had to be in the same area code as far as. And who is Auburn going to go cheap on a damn quarterback hire or quarterback acquisition in the offseason?
I don't claim to have any inside knowledge of this at
Duke
all.
Beat him.
Duke beat him. Duke beat him. Duke did one of those things like with your boy, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, when he got Matt Rule in. Like, you come in here, you're not leaving until you sign this thing. I don't care what I got to put on it. It seems like that's what Duke did with Mensa. It's like, we got you on the phone, we got you in the building, we ain't letting you out.
They beat him.
Yeah, they beat
him. And that shouldn't happen because Auburn's think Auburn's got more staffers than Duke?
Yes. And if they didn't before, they damn sure will now.
I mean, but if Mensa is quarterbacking for Auburn, that's a pretty good roster, man.
It's a way different team.
They're
drastically different.
Conservatively in the top 15.
Because you're right.
Exactly
the
where
defense
they
is
might
good.
be top. They might be 7 or 8. They might be 11 or 12. They're in the top 15.
The defense is good. They may be worn. They're worn down by this point in the season.
Yes, of course.
But that's some talented. And again, maybe they were overrated, but it's not like they don't have any talent out at wide receiver.
No, they got talent at wide receiver. No, they have, and and then the Missouri game where they finally puts a couple on the money, they dropped, including 8. I mean, one was for a touchdown, one was for a critical third down that would have set them up for one more first down, chip shot field goal to win the game, a walk-off. So, I mean, critical drops when finally Arnold delivers the ball. But, no, they that off. You don't think Indiana has pushed their deal up a notch? You know?
There's no question.
What about the most coveted one in Oxford? Where are they if they go with Simmons the whole year? A loss or 2? Huh?
Yeah.
One for sure, probably 2. One for sure, probably 2.
Yeah. I would think. Hell, they almost lost to one at Oklahoma because they put him in for 2 plays.
Yeah, that's how much better he has been. And that was they fell backwards.
They were scoring plays.
No, but they fell backwards into Chambliss.
Chambliss, yeah. They got Auburn catching 6.5, by the way, at Vandy this week.
I've noticed.
I know. Sharing with the audience, Jimmy. I know you know.
We will tomorrow on Friday. That game will be in my 5-pack. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional service is what you get with our long-standing team at Legacy Title. Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Natalie Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose my man, Chad Reynolds, in Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Uh-oh, they let the big dog out.
Boom! Out of nowhere.
It's time for the big dog, Randy McKay, with his best picks.
Big dog, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. Just had some traveling. Got here to Colorado yesterday, so all settled in and getting ready for the game on Thursday.
How many miles you put on that truck every year?
Yeah, I mix it up between the truck and the and I have a Mercedes GLE, so I got that Mercedes on this travel. So
all right, what casino?
Put enough on.
What casino you got the Mercedes loaner from on your points, huh?
Yeah, that was from the Ameristar here in Black Hawk, Colorado.
He won it on another raw flush, right?
No. He's getting comped. I mean, some kind of way. I know Randy, so he is very, very smart at working the city. You have to do this stuff. But wait, give me just a general rule of thumb. We all have like a little casino with a member card, what they call players card or whatever. It's for. Give us a little tip to our audience on comps. Just a basic that you cannot afford not to do.
Oh, you definitely have to sign up to start with, and the basics. If you're, whatever you like to play, just make sure you're always getting rated. Make sure you see what you're getting for your points. Make sure you use your points. Usually, always with these new slot cards, you get some kind of extra money as well. Make sure you're taking advantage of that. Like I'll promote Circa. In fact, if you sign up for a card there, the first day you can play and you can get up to $300 extra. That's something that those first perks. You can usually go to casinos and kind of gamble for free. And then after that, if they get you in the door, then it's of course it costs you a little bit more. But
same applies
to get those perks.
Same applies to mobile sports books, right? Sign up. Use your points, your bonuses, your sign up bonuses, and then if you got a little left, I mean, we can continue. But I mean with Louisiana, I think it was the first month or two they lost money because they
by design.
Yeah, by design. Yeah. By design, get people signed up.
Yeah, that's all customer. They're trying to equate customers, so that's all part of it too, and. Yeah, definitely. Decide which sports book, which casinos you like the best, and then patronize them. And they might have different. They all have different things. So same as sports betting as well.
All right. The other thing is this the busiest trade deadline in the NFL we've had? It sure seemed very active. But your point spread values, your power ratings. Did you have to adjust any, positive or negatively, yesterday after the trade deadline?
Yeah, definitely a win, I think, for the Jets here. You don't always see this many big trades in the trade deadline, but I think they made the right moves here, getting all these picks and trying to rebuild. I mean, if you're bad, you want to be really bad. So I think it was a good move for them. As far as adjusting their power rating, I think you got to put them as the lowest now, right?
Okay.
Right below, barely below Tennessee. So, and then of course, I think your guys' Saints are coming third as far as the worst teams, but you got them three, and then of course I like some of the moves we'll talk about. The Eagles made a nice move getting that linebacker from Miami. That was a good move for them. Seattle, picked up your wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think that'll fit in pretty good, getting that speed there. So we'll see how that goes. But I think the Colts paid too much, of course, for Gardner, but who knows, he might fit in pretty good with Coach Lou's defense, so we'll see how that works out.
Well, I mean, we call that what I think. Wasn't he the best coach on the staff at Cincinnati, and they let him go for those years, Randy?
Oh, most definitely. You're seeing the problems they're having on defense this year. And of course, we can talk about that game at the end there, them missing that tackle on the dang tight end there at the end, but a little frustrating. But yeah, you definitely see that Zach Taylor, makes some fundamental errors as a coach and a play caller. So you see that as well.
Talking about Shaheed and maybe the impact he can have and how he'll fit, and this is why you don't see as much, because to sort of get integrated of a different piece mid-season football, especially at the passing game, it can be tough. I mean, there's a learning curve, and you might not ever get it till the following season with a true full off season in training camp. But Shaheed, Kubiak, you had to believe that he had to push for this as well. It's his system. Shaheed has been a part of his system, so the learning curve may be reduced in this situation. I think it's a big plus for Seattle.
And I do too, and I think it's a very specific role he's going for. If he was going to be the number one receiver there, I think that'd be a lot harder. Jackson Smith-Njigba is having, I think, the best season of any receiver in the league. And to put him on the other side to essentially be that deep threat, I think is a very specific role for him. I think this is going to work really well.
You got a quarterback that could throw the ball vertically.
Yeah.
So he could push it downfield. So two-part. Where is Darnold in your quarterback ratings? 32 guys are starting this Sunday or this week. Where'd you have him?
Yeah, he's always been kind of a Jekyll and Hyde guy for me. Of course, he's come on now. That time he spent with Shanahan in San Francisco really helped him, I think, for confidence-wise and getting better. So, and then, of course, now he was with O'Connell last year, and that really helped him, and he had the big season till he faltered there in the last two starts. But, yeah, like what I'm seeing out of him, he's getting up. He's right around top 10 quarterback now, and, he's putting up those numbers the last couple of years and not making too many dumb sacks, dumb turnovers, and trying to do things too much. You see that a little bit still in him and in a couple games, a couple situations there, but I like what I see so far and surprised that he's done it so fast this year. I thought it would take a little bit.
Man, look, we don't know game to game. I mean, players have the level of dependency, is what you have with the better ones. But I think easily he's top 10 this year right now. He's had a great season. So, and the other one, before we get to your picks, where would you have Jacoby Brissett?
Oh, like I always said, I always thought he was one of the top backups and, borderline starter, better than these younger guys that, we see starting now. And I always thought he was, pretty reliable, and we've seen him play, but then we've seen him also, play. Once he plays for a while, it seems like he regresses a little bit. We'll see if that happens here with Arizona, but I like what they did, and of course we'll see. They get a big test this week against that Seattle defense.
So you might say low to mid 20s, ahead of the younger quarterbacks and things. I'm almost pushing him to sort of push in the middle of the road, the middle of the pack. I know one guy who has him maybe higher than most people, and that's Harrison's dad, I mean, he let his feelings known on the passing game under Kyler Murray. I can tell you that. That was some pretty rough comments from a guy that's, Charlie, would you say has a reputation to be pretty mild-mannered, pretty soft-spoken?
I don't think I heard him say. The only guy I heard him talk less when he was a star receiver was Sterling Sharp, who would never talk to the media. Other than that, Marvin Harrison was about as quiet as he gets.
I think Marvin Harrison and Otani run a close race on how much I've heard of them. So anyway, Randy, let's get to your picks. Let's start off. Minnesota at home against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, you got 3-5 versus 4-4 here. Still, the big concern for me with this Baltimore team is their defense. They're still missing still have some holes here. We've seen them outgain last week against Miami. Of course, they're going to have a little bit more rest in this game. They had to rely on those turnovers. Otherwise, that game would have been probably a lot closer. And then we saw a Minnesota team, a pretty impressive win, winning in Detroit, getting a lot of injured players back, of course, on defense. And I like what I've seen out of the offense, controlling the ball and controlling the clock a little bit, which I think they'll do here, and frustrating Jackson and the offense here with Flores. Flores will probably have a pretty good game plan to try to keep him in the pocket and make him a passer, which has kind of been his downfall over his career. So I see getting plus points here, big advantage here for Minnesota at home.
All right. So next one we're looking at is New England. They're hot. They win again. Went on an missed extra point by Atlanta late, and then they turned it over at the end to secure the victory. But we thought that, the same old thing. When a team looks really awful, you might want to back them. And Atlanta did cover the money last week after looking terrible against Miami in reversal as well. But now Tampa Bay at home here against New England, looking at 2.5 and 3. So if you like the Bucs, it might be maybe a chance that 2.5 might not be around much longer.
Yeah, definitely shop around here. We got 7-2 versus 6-2, very good matchup here, and you got a Tampa team coming off a bye, and of course the next pick we'll be talking about another team that's coming off a bye that I really like, and getting some injured players back, and of course New England off some of these games, their injuries are starting to add up, especially on offense. With some of those weapons, pretty questionable in this game. So still deciding if New England is a elite team or not. They've had a pretty easy schedule. They did have the big win versus Buffalo, but, as far as they've kind of got lucky as far as their matchups against weaker teams here with the 7-2 record. So liking Baker Mayfield and company here to exploit this New England defense a little bit at home in the heat and the weather there in Tampa Bay. Get a northern team traveling down. Never a good situation usually in the past, so it should be a
Brandon,
good spot here for the Buccaneers.
What do you make of Baker's little mini slide here after he appeared maybe not the odds-on favorite to win the MVP, but a lot of people, a lot of voters said, a couple weeks ago, if they had to vote now, they would have voted. But the Lions game and other ones. So what about this mini slide from him?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned with that. I think Detroit had a pretty good game plan. Of course, he had some banged-up receivers. I remember Evans got hurt pretty early in that game, and he had to adjust with some of these other guys, and he might get Godwin back in this spot here. And then, of course, the rookie wide receiver that was injured, he should be at full speed in this game, and maybe even get Bucky Irvin back. So he might have a lot of weapons to use. So this is looking like a pretty good spot here against this New England team that, if it wasn't for Drake London, I don't think Atlanta would have hung in that game last week.
How good was he Sunday?
It's phenomenal.
He was awesome Sunday.
And I was a little surprised yesterday that the Patriots didn't make a move. They got a quarterback on a rookie deal. They're in contention for a receiver yesterday at a mid-round cost. Wouldn't Shaheed have helped them a little bit?
I want you to bring that up to Massero on Friday. That's your little surprise.
Oh. Or your other receiver, Olave, would have maybe fit pretty good on that team.
I would have been much more pleased if they've shipped Olave for the same price that they did for Shaheed.
They could have shipped them both. The only reason I was okay with them shipping Shaheed was I knew they weren't going to re-sign him. So if he's going to walk out the door at the end of the season, you just soon get something for him. I'd have rather kept him, but it didn't seem like that was going to happen.
All right, Monday Night Football, your last one. We're looking at the Packers 2.5 at home against the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles here. We got 6-2 versus 5-2-1. Another team off a bye here in the Eagles. Nice trade pickup for them as well with the linebacker there from Miami. I think that'll fit in. Their defense wasn't getting the pressure on the quarterback that they like. So and then we saw Green Bay have this tough loss versus Carolina last week. And then losing the big tight end Kraft in Jordan Love's security blanket. His wide receivers are kind of, I don't know if they can dominate the Philly defense and attack them like a team that can beat Philly. So, and I also like Sirianni's record versus NFC North is really strong here. So I like this spot getting points here with a Philly team that could go into Lambeau and get the victory.
All right, Big Dog. Follow Randy on Twitter at RR39. Great stuff. Get back in that Ameristar Mercedes, man, and drive safely, okay? Enjoy your stay in Colorado. Great stuff as always, Randy. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck, everybody out there.
Don't forget our friends over at Go Chevrolet in LaPlace, Go Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Plaquemine. My buddies Lee Carney, Nick Richard, the certified body shop. How about this? Just mention my name at either location for VIP pricing. So, and I don't just talk about the vehicles from Go Chevrolet. My Tahoe came from Go Chevrolet in LaPlace. So personalized. Hey, how about the concierge service department, man? When we were doing the show over at Chris's Specialty Foods, I mean, they came up, picked up the Tahoe, had some electrical work that needed to be done, brought it, dropped me off a loaner. A couple of days later, brought delivered the car back to my house and exchanged it for the loaner. I mean, as simple as it can get. Mobily charged me for it. Boom. I mean, as pain-free of a service. You ever those horror stories? You're sitting in a service department for 3-4 hours. No, they understand this. My buddies Lee Carney, Nick Richard at the Go Automotive Dealership family. Go Chevrolet in LaPlace. Go Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Plaquemine.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Mentioned it was a busy day of the trade deadline. Jimmy, was the second busiest trade deadline in the NFL going back to 1990. There were a couple more trades in 2022. It's also, this is a cool trivia question. Sauce Gardner went for 2 first-round picks yesterday. Since the merger, there's only been 2 players traded for multiple first-round picks in season. Gardner was one. The other one, this trade also involved the Colts. We talked about it during the break.
Yeah, I guess to that, I remember Steve Walsh coming to the Saints. I was at the game. The first game he came in relief against the Browns.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the times because it was during the Ice Baby, Vanilla Ice era, and it was Walsh Baby, a full-page ad. Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, just some of the things you remember. And then, of course, the most legendary, the biggest blockbuster in the history, the most impactful trade ever was the Herschel Walker trade. Was that off season or during season?
No, it was during the season, but it
was no multiple ones.
It was a 1, a 2, a 6, and 5 conditional picks and 5 other players. Now, the one we're talking about, Eric Dickerson went to the Colts. You want to know how good Eric Dickerson was? They gave up 3 1s, 3 2s, and 2 players to get Eric Dickerson. Bills were also involved in that trade. It was a 3-team trade. Dickerson still holds the NFL record for all-time rushing yards a season. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Scott Rabelais with us here at Modesto Live, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Annie from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Enjoying the finer things in life is his forte. Let's bring in Scott Rabelais from The Advocate.
And we return here at Modesto Modesto, and of course partnered with Roca Pizzeria. Your Thanksgiving table available right now for the bundles available for pre-order. The holiday table is a complete gourmet spread, smoked turkey, 6 sides, the gravy, pecan pie, or you can go with the whole smoked turkey with the extra bundles. You got classic sides, cornbread dressing, sweet potato casserole, potatoes au gratin. Of course, the Black Friday eats include smoked brisket, the Roca meatballs, mac and cheese, spinach and artichoke dip. All this available for pre-order. Take all of the work out of it from fridge to table in under 2 hours. They give you complete holiday tables and instructions included. Available for pre-order now through 5 o'clock on Saturday, November the 22nd. You pick it up on November the 26th at Roca Pizzeria. So, our Thanksgiving bundles here from Roca Pizzeria, part of the family here at Modesto.
Sounds like Rabelais needs to put down those cooking utensils.
He's
in the
already
background.
ordered.
It sounds like he's working in the kitchen right now or something. Man. Let Roca do the holiday cooking for you, Scott.
Man, you don't want me around the pumpkin spice or the stuffing or anything like that. I'm good at. I'm not even good at carving the turkey. I have to be honest. I usually, my son-in-law is a doctor at Our Lady of the Lake, so I usually let him do the carving.
There you go.
Yeah, I would
good
say
at surgery.
So.
Good hands
Yes.
is sort of a key ingredient for a good surgeon. Yes.
Rab, you've been at this a while. The last 10 days for LSU, from the Brian Kelly firing to the governor's press conference to Woodward's, whatever you want to call it, firing is essentially what it was, but to the president's hire, to the quick ascension of Verge Ausberry from interim athletic to permanent athletic director, the chancellor's position being reinstated. You were around for crazy days at LSU, but I think you were a student at the time.
Right.
So give me your historical comparison on this before we get into the nuts and bolts of this.
I mean, recency bias is a very real thing for all of us, obviously. But I've never seen a 10-day period or however many days it's been like this. And no one has for a very long time. The last time LSU fired the football coach and the athletic director basically at the same time was 1955. They got rid of Gus Tinsley, and they got rid of Skipper Hurd, which was LSU's first athletic director. By the way, you want to know what Gus Tinsley's buyout was? They owed him 2 years left in his contract. You want to know how much it was? Take a guess.
Free root beer for a year?
$25,000.
$25,000. A lot of money in 1955, I guess.
Yeah, Brian Kelly is making. They're paying him $741,000 a month until they get all this settled, and so he makes that in just over 24 hours.
How much was Pat Sullivan's buyout that LSU did not agree?
Oh, it was less than $1 million.
I think it was 400,000. So 400,000, maybe 450,000 sticks in my head. Yeah, and they had the press conference called. They had the press conference called.
We flew to. I got to do a column on just all the shenanigans. That's a good one. You remind me of, Jimmy. All the coaching search anecdotes and everything. We flew to
campus.
Fort Worth. And I talked to their athletic director, Frank Windegger, older guy. I remember. I talked to him in the athletic department. He said, "Hey, $400,000 is a lot of money to us. I'm not giving that up."
And neither was Sullivan.
That won't get him a deep snapper now.
No,
that's right. But to your question, Charles, this has been fairly unprecedented. I was in school. I was working in sports information actually during crazy days at LSU with the Theo Horford stuff and the Dale Brown stuff. And that was a long, extended thing. Broadhead and all the stuff with taking the free flight from older Mr. Manship. On the plane, that was a conflict of interest, ethics violations, and all this stuff, and NCAA investigations and things. But just in a concentrated period, this has been something that we've never seen. However, LSU, whether you like the decisions or not, the people they've picked or not, is getting that alignment back that you've described. They hired a president, they hired a chancellor, which was a bit of a surprise move that they hired, split those duties. I think a good move. The LSU system is so huge. I think it probably is a good move. And then apparently he's named Verge Ausberry the athletic director. So that's going to be music to some people's ears, some people not, but it is moving forward to get more traditional hiring environment for the next football team.
Well, it's just a matter of debating on how much or the percentages like we talk about all the time. But, the publicity, the governor taking it the public route and all of the shenanigans and humiliation last week damaged the hire. And the new board members that have kind of taken control and stabilized some things have been damage control. Have they cleaned up all the mess? We'll ultimately see with the hire, but this was a big shift back to sort of in some, these board members are appointed or on there because they have a little pride in a university, the program, and the state. And the pride took a beating last week around the rest of the country and through the media. No doubt about that.
And it's going to continue somewhat. I mean, people bring it up, as you did, Charlie, as I was going to have to in my column, that Verge Ausberry served a suspension and was, received some sanctions from his role in the whole sexual assault scandal at LSU, a number of years ago. He paid a penalty to some, and they moved on. Some people, was it enough of a penalty? They wish he was fired. That maybe, but that's for people to decide individually. I think sometimes we're not very sometimes we're very forgiving as a people in this country, and sometimes we're not. And so, but that's for people to decide. But as far as trying to they always go against type, right? When they make these big coaching changes, so they're going to look for someone more Louisiana centric or more aware of the culture and how things are done here. And having an athletic director who's from Louisiana, Verge is from the area, played at LSU, been in the athletic administration for over 30 years, been involved in every coaching search going back to Nick Saban, is something that will help LSU in that regard. I'm not saying, who they hire might not be everyone's choice, but it's going to help, and I think they're going to make a more informed hire than just going for the biggest, flashiest name that you could possibly get.
Verge has his ear to the ground very well. He can read the LSU room, if for no other reason than he's been here that long. What was
showed up at the women's game last night?
At the women's game last night. It was one of the big criticisms of Scott Woodward was that he went to the football games. He didn't go to much else. Okay, you rarely saw Woodward at men's basketball or baseball or really anything else. Verge was at the women's game last night, and who was the most?
Same people criticize him being too involved.
Well, right? No, you're always going to get something. Yeah,
I'm just making a point.
Sure, and no, it's a valid point. And the other thing was, who was the most publicly upset coach last week? They all stayed pretty much to themselves, but Kim Mulkey didn't go to her post game after the exhibition because she was, in the words of Bob Starkey, heartbroken.
Even before that, though, I had some contacts and know that she was hot.
Scott Woodward hired her.
No, this was before.
I know,
this was before Woody was let go.
Okay,
this was with the governor's public comments. Yes. Yeah,
she was upset. Yes. I think they all were upset, but she was especially upset. And what did she say after the game last night? I'm paraphrasing. Verge is one of us. This is his school. He's from Louisiana. All that stuff.
She was consciously refrained, though. Yeah. I would say more guarded than I've ever seen her in front of a microphone. Yeah. Guarded is not something you describe, but Scott Mulkey in front of a microphone.
Right.
No,
Scott.
Rarely.
Scott, what type of differences do you think you'll see with Verge Ausberry running the athletic department as opposed to Scott Woodward? Because the two of them worked in tandem. They were very close friends. What changes do you think, tangible changes, do you think he would like to make?
I think maybe paying a little more attention to the program holistically. I think is going to be important because, as you have said, as people have said, Verge has worked in a lot of different parts, in a lot of different capacities, a lot of different parts of the athletic department. That's what you're going to do, and you've been there for over 30 years. And I think, I don't think Scott Woodward cared necessarily that much. I think he hired Kim Mulkey, but I don't think he was thrilled about it, having to pay that much money for a women's basketball coach. I've heard he wasn't that thrilled about having to give Jay Johnson a new contract after winning the College World Series, much less 2 titles. I think, that you have someone who's going to be a little more, attuned to the whole program. Because look, football is the most important thing. But I think LSU fans have come to expect, going back to the Bob Broadhead days, when Bob Broadhead was the first athletic director who said, I want to win at everything. For all his faults, he said, I want to win at everything, and they did. And he brought in Skip Bertman, and he brought in, a lot of, Pat Henry and a lot of successful coaches. And I think we'll see a little more of that. Obviously, the success has been there. They've won 4 national titles in the last 2 years with baseball and women's basketball and gymnastics, and so that's a good sign. But I think that not everyone at LSU was thrilled with the way Scott Woodward ran the department or how much interest he paid to things besides football. And I think we'll see a little more of that of Verge Ausberry, because I think he's a little more in tune with that.
I was in Biloxi last weekend with the football team off, and with LSU playing baseball there, they had inter-squad games Saturday and 3 7-inning games on Sunday. There were a lot of LSU baseball fans in that hotel. The ones I ran into, universally, okay, do not mess with the baseball program. Do not mess with Jay Johnson. These are people that are going 2 hours out of their way to go watch an exhibition in November for college baseball. They're invested, okay? Don't mess with Jay Johnson. Don't mess with the baseball program. And the women's basketball program has got similarly invested fans, as does softball and gymnastics especially have invested fans.
That's why I have to cover them, because they fill it up and they're very successful, and they're going to be again this year. It's important. I mean, people want to succeed at everything, and that's not a claim that some other schools can make, like Alabama. They're very good in football and been very good in men's basketball, but women's basketball, no. Gymnastics, not what they used to be. Baseball, not what they used to be. So it's important here. It's part of the overall culture. And look, it's getting harder to do that. Obviously, it's more expensive, and I don't think Jay Johnson is happy with. We know he is, right? He's not happy with the piece of the revenue sharing that baseball has been allocated. Might that change under Verge Ausberry? We're gonna have to see. I don't want to speak for him, and obviously we haven't spoken to him on subjects like that. But I think he might be more willing to look at those kind of issues than Scott Woodward. Not to say Scott Woodward didn't do a lot of good things. He did, but maybe more willing.
You got to make those decisions. And Jimmy, I'm going to ask both of you this question. Josh Brooks' name came up for a hot minute in this, the athletic director at Georgia, because he is from Louisiana. And he quickly took his name out really before it was ever in. But
a good situation.
Okay, at Georgia, the football program is a behemoth, okay? Mm-hmm. What else really matters over there? They haven't been good in men's basketball for a long time. They just had a resurgence in baseball. Their women's basketball program is not as good as it used to be. Neither is their gymnastics team. It's football, and everything else is okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, no. Just as long
and that's
as
how they run things there. That's how they run things there.
I mean, you would like to win everything, but can you? I mean, that would
can you afford it?
Yes, you really can't afford it. I mean, if Texas A&M wants to win in track and field, they come scoop up your successful coach. Right. I mean, if Vitello, man, I've heard him speak publicly since he left. He's called it a mess with the NIL and stuff like that. He's tired of going up against LSU with their resources. So it's I don't know if you can win big, and I have to mention. I mean, opening day of college basketball, and you had a lot of lopsided matchups. Not really good when you had about 2 or 3 that were good, and that's it. Will Wade was turned aback. How many people were in the stands when he came out to warm up? It was unbelievable in Raleigh. So you win, people get excited. I used to walk into Alec Box Stadium, and nobody checked a ticket at any when I was a student before Skip Bertman came here. Well, they win now. Yeah, everybody loves a winner.
Scott, your thoughts about you got to hear Frank Wilson again today. There's a football game this Saturday, I suppose. LSU and Alabama. What did you take from what Frank said today, and what chance do you give LSU this weekend?
Yes, we we interrupt this coaching search to bring you the LSU Alabama game, right?
Yeah.
When was the last time this game seemed so insignificant? I mean, based on what's going on in the athletic department as a whole.
21
at LSU in a whole. Yeah, I mean,
21. Ed was fired, and LSU with a very bad team went there and gave Alabama all they wanted. Max Johnson had one to the end zone, that would have won it, as I remember. So since then,
I think that they're going to play a lot better than they played against Texas A&M. What's the spread? 11.5. I'm not going to pick LSU to win. I'm assuming we're going to pick them to cover with a puncher's chance to win the game. I think they're going to play a lot better. I think they're going to play a lot freer, a lot looser. Obviously, they're going to be committed to running the ball. They pretty much told Alabama, "Hey, we're coming to try to run the ball," But but the style of running plays hopefully will be different. Less RPOs because that's not cool. That kind of thing. So it's going to be a little different look. I think they're going to, like I said, the teams can play a little freer, and they're not going to have this tension hanging over their heads. We had player interviews yesterday while the whole Verge Ausberry news was breaking, and we were in the team room, the big auditorium, and Wilson Alexander's in the back just feverishly typing away. We're talking to players. It was wild. Like I said, it's been wild for the last week and a half, and no one wanted to really say. I don't think too many of the players. None of the players will come out and say, "Yeah, we're glad Brian Kelly's gone." But I think just the sense you got was this is a breath of fresh air. It's a new start. I think one of the players, maybe Mentor Delane, said it feels like a fresh start, and I think they're going to take advantage of that. If they can have some success early in the game and hang with Alabama, I think it's down 14-0 early on. It could be a very discouraging situation. But if they hang with them early, maybe get a scoring drive, maybe could take the lead early, they're going to carry the fight to Alabama, who's playing very well, but they have been had this year as well. So I think they're going to give a good showing of themselves. And look, you have to consider if Frank Wilson can win the table, he'd have to be someone they would have to give consideration to for the job. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think they have to consider him. And it starts obviously this weekend in Tuscaloosa.
Scott, safe travels to Tuscaloosa. We'll talk to you now. Who knows what could happen in the next 7 days? They could pick up and move the university to Barbados.
Scott, if you're there Friday afternoon, come by Meter Drive. I'll be getting my grill on at my son's house. So come on by.
Yeah, let Jimmy feed you. Thanks, Scott. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of southern Louisiana for over 50 years, including their newest branch at Burbank and Bluebonnet, not too far here from where we are at Modesto on Burbank. So David Henry, Prentice Wilkes, David Campbell, Hunter Creed, Nicole Glover, Heath Meir, our great team of bankers at United Community Bank. Stop on by and discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. From east, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
Good job, Wes, last week. 2-0 in the NFL, 2-1 in college football. Good job. I hope you had a profitable weekend.
We ended up having a profitable weekend, even though I did go against my Hoosiers with those points and had to buy out very quickly because they broke the turtle. And Jimmy, you and Charlie and everybody listening are used to hearing the golden pipes of Brad Nessler doing SEC games. Now he's doing Big Ten games, which is kind of weird, but that's a side note. And he had a very good line when Testudo, the Maryland mascot, the turtle, was leaving the field. He goes, "That tortoise has had enough." And he had definitely had enough. He was leaving the game. He was like, "Hey, goodbye, see ya." And they showed him walking off the field, and I was like, "Yeah, when that score's 55-10, and it's second and third stringers that are still running the ball down their throat, I'm not used to seeing that with these guys, man. I'm not used to seeing that, but I'm starting to get used to it."
Charlie, we had to jog our historical memory as far as Tiger Stadium embarrassing losses and that A&M loss where they took over. And it's, it was just, I think Hunt said it was in his lifetime the worst, but we go back to that Spurrier 58-3.
58-3.
Did they lead 3-0 in that game?
They definitely kicked the field goal on their first drive. I don't remember if they went 3-0 or 7-3 because Curley started the press conference with, well, we had that first drive.
No, I know. Yeah, yes.
So either 3-0 or 7-3.
But the Turtles had the 3-0 lead before the roof caved in on them in College Park at Verge Stadium on Saturday. See, there was your small window to middle or hedge in that one.
Hurry.
So, yes, indeed. Who are we looking at this week in college football, Wes?
Yeah, we just mentioned one of the program. Let's go right to your home base in Baton Rouge in college football. I'm taking the Tigers this week, plus 10 in Alabama. And, you guys have more intel on what's going on than certainly I do. So I'm from a couple thousand miles away. But I get a sense that LSU is going to play hard for Frank Wilson, who, of course, is the interim coach. We'll see. We'll see what the governor has to say about it. Who's going to be the coach, apparently? But nevertheless, I think they're going to play hard for this guy. He's a Louisiana guy, born in New Orleans. You guys know his biography. Of course, coached on Les Miles' staff. Coached there at McNeese State at Lake Charles. So it's kind of similar to, I think, that Florida situation last week, where Billy Gonzalez is a true Gator. It was on 3 different staffs with Urban and with Dan Mullen, and then subsequently with Napier. So I think LSU, facing Alabama, they're not going to mail it in here, even though, the playoff hopes are long gone. But they can still have a winning season and go to a bowl game and do all that. And I think playing Alabama, I got a feeling you're going to get the best effort out of LSU this week.
It's a lot of effort by Frank to bring in ex-players, and now the rally in a troop of those after taking a game. Pride is a word that a key term, a hot button top sort of word right now with LSU. So, no, I think that they still got a block, okay, which is a major problem. But they will play with more pride. I mean, I don't know if that'll affect the results anyway, but I think the pride has been pushed up against the wall this past week by some of our leadership. All right, LSU plus 10. And who else are we looking at, Wes?
Yeah, a couple more. Let's go Wake Forest plus 7 at Virginia. It's just the ACC, and that's how it's been all season. When you get a team, it's like, okay, watch this team. They're the team to beat in the ACC. Like it was Florida State earlier this year, and then they lose. Then it was Miami. Then they lose. And you've seen it, I think, about 3 or 4 times this year with teams where it's like, okay, this is their time. It was supposed to be Louisville beating Virginia off that big win at Florida State. They lose. Now I think it's Virginia's turn, even though Wake Forest, poor performance at Florida State, and you could kind of see that coming, that Florida State, that was a good buy at the bottom spot, and they just ran out Wake Forest. But Virginia, I want to give them credit, but they've been very, very lucky this year, I think, to be 8-1. They've gotten a lot of the breaks this year that they haven't in years past, so laying 7 to the Deeks. Give me Wake Forest off that bad performance. So that's another one. And then let's go with the home dog in the Big Ten that didn't get a lot of respect in the AP poll, but did get ranked in the CFP rankings last night. The Iowa Hawkeyes taking 6 or 6.5, depending on your store, with Oregon coming in. Low total, 40.5. Inclement weather. I don't think that weather is going to be that bad for Oregon, considering they played in a rainstorm against Wisconsin a couple weeks ago in Eugene. But I think this is a tough spot. I think you got an Iowa team that's kind of fighting for a little bit of respect. That feels like they've been a little bit disrespected not being ranked. That's a good defense with one of the best defensive coordinators in the country in Phil Parker. And then they always seem to score on special teams in a game like this, a punt block or a kickoff return or something. So I think this is going to be tough sledding for the Ducks in Iowa City.
All right. So the Iowa, Wake Forest, and LSU. Speaking of Wake Forest, playing Virginia, yes, Virginia, I've been kind of chasing them a little bit myself. That Louisville game where they had 2 defensive scores. Wes, real time, what were you thinking when, with 35 seconds to go, the Virginia DB makes the pick? Did you think he was going in? And also Gunnar Stockton, did you think he was going to take a knee in these late minute covers that happened over maybe like 10 minutes of real time?
Yeah, well, the latter one I was not on the Virginia Cal game, but there was some poor you-know-what that was on both of those sides and got 2 coals in their stockings, shall we say, with those. But I was on Florida last week. We talked about that. I felt that Florida should have covered the game. Now, the circumstances will say, oh, that's a bad beat on Georgia. But if you recall on the previous drive, where Florida had completed that pass and he caught it in his forearms, and they ruled it incomplete. So I felt that they got that ruling wrong, and the booth official was also wrong.
Yeah.
But, Gunnar Stockton, though, did will get a nice gift card in the mail from me, though, for going down. I said, he's a G, man. He's a G. That G on his helmet stands for being a G, because he goes down at the 1, and I certainly needed that one. That would have been a tough one to take if you were on the Gators.
Wes, both Charlie and I, we had to go do a show in Dublin, Ireland for St. Patrick's Day at the Jameson Distillery. So we turned it into a London-Paris trip. We attended the Louvre together. I don't care the jewels, the Mona Lisa. I didn't see anything more beautiful than Gunnar Stockton genuflecting at the 1-yard line. Okay, so who we got in the pros this week, Wes?
Yeah, we're going to go, let's go to Monday night first. I laid Green Bay -2.5. I think you could lay them on the money line as well. Green Bay, horrible performance last week against Carolina. And Carolina fights. I don't know how good they are, but they do play hard and got the win 16-13. So now this is kind of a buy low on Green Bay with Philly coming off the bye. The offense looks like it's getting a little bit better for Philadelphia, but this is a rally spot, I think, for Green Bay. So I like them as a small home favorite on Monday night. And then kind of an ugly dog, because you look at the line and you think it maybe doesn't make a lot of sense. That why are the Bears only laying 3.5 to the Giants when, the Bears appear to be on the roll? But I'm going against the Bears here simply because I think there's going to be some regression. And it's especially, I think, going to be in the turnovers. The Chicago Bears over the last 6 games, by the way, are plus 18 in turnover margin. They were plus 3 last week in Cincinnati, and we saw what they had to do. They had to score that miracle on the last drive with Colston Loveland, and they hit him over the middle. Bengals missed a tackle. That Bengals defense is probably one of the worst I've seen in the NFL, at least in the last couple decades. But the Bears somehow escaped with a win, and now they're the favorite. I know they got there in a similar role against New Orleans a couple weeks ago, but Jackson Dart has got something for the Giants. He doesn't have a lot of really good receivers, unfortunately, to throw to, but I think that this is a perfect spot for the Bears to lay an egg when nobody expects it.
So we're watching the show Sunday after we do the show, watching the games at the sports book after we do the show on Sunday, and so I got Cincinnati. All right, and they get the onside kick. Nobody gets onside kicks in the NFL anymore. They come down and score, and then the tight end gets loose, and I lose. And Max says, well, it's not a bad beat. I'm not on the air right now, Max. I don't want to hear this right now, Max. Okay? So don't talk logically. Forget the scoreboard right now. I don't care. I don't want to hear that right now. Anyway, what's your overall thoughts now? Wes, we like to get your opinions. You follow so closely, and now you're in the blue-blooded Indiana. Forget that they had the most losses in college football history. They're on top of the world now. But anyway, what's going on with LSU now? They got the university president and a permanent AD within a couple of days. So what's your thoughts on what's going on with this proud program? Elite? Are we still elite?
I think that they are. I still think that there's a lot of money down there. And, what I read, maybe Shaquille O'Neal is going to come off a little bit of that fortune and put some money in the collection plate to get that right, get the NIL right, get the coach right. I still think LSU – it's one of the best jobs in America. And, if Lane Kiffin does leave Ole Miss, I think he would go to LSU before he'd go to Florida, because I think LSU is a better job, quite frankly, than Florida. But I think that they're going to get coach. Like LSU always gets, or for the most part, I think they mostly get good coaches, and it's the job's in high demand. I think that program is going to be fine. I don't see them dropping off the face of the earth by any stretch of the imagination. There's good football talent down there in the state of Louisiana, really all through the state, especially in New Orleans. So they can recruit. It's just getting the right fit. And, that's been the debate. And Kelly won everywhere he was, and he won a little bit of LSU too, but, didn't seem like the ideal fit. But there's a fit out there for LSU. I'm not too worried about that.
The Kelly hire was as safe as you can get. I'm sorry.
The resume was there.
Who knew the rules were going to change, since you hired him in roster building and stuff like that? But it's not close. The most accomplished football hire that LSU's ever made. Now, it doesn't, there have been guys that never coached before. There was Pete Carroll was, 6th or 7th on USC's list when they hired him.
He had been fired twice in the NFL.
Well, but No, it just didn't work out.
Hey,
So
Wes-
there's no locks in this whole coaching search. We get it.
Wes, your Colts, before we let you go, your Colts made the big move yesterday for Sauce Gardner. Do you believe that a lot has been made of this, that this signifies the Colts are all in long-term on Daniel Jones? And you're Colts guy. You're an Indiana guy. Is that what it signified to you, and what does that move do for them? It bumped their Super Bowl odds a little bit. I know that.
It absolutely does, and you guys have been in the radio business for a long time, so I'm sure you know the famous late broadcaster Paul Harvey, where he would go, and now it's time for the rest of the story.
Yes.
Because the initial story was, okay, what does Sauce Gardner mean for the defense? What are they going to do? Did they give up too much, giving up 2 first-round draft picks? But the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say, is that they've committed to Daniel Jones, because nobody values draft capital more than Chris Ballard does. And when you're giving up these picks, it's like, okay, we're settled on this guy at quarterback, because you've given up any leverage if you need to go acquire somebody, whether it's in the draft or in free agency. So they're in on Indiana Jones for better or worse. And, Daniel Jones was kind of due a bad game last week, and that's why I like Pittsburgh. I just felt like things were going too right. Like everything is going right, and at some point you're going to hit a bump in the road, and they did at Pittsburgh last week. So I do think that the Colts feel like they could be all in, because nobody's really great in the NFL. I think there's very good teams, but there's no elite team where it's like, oh my God, they're just going to steamroll through everybody. But I would still power rate the Colts 3rd or 4th in the AFC. I'd still have Buffalo and Kansas City ahead of them, and maybe even a very healthy Baltimore if they're at full strength. But Colts are right in the mix here, and I think, look, you got to go for it. I think at this point, you've got a good team, you've got a good offense, you need help in the secondary, and maybe Sauce is going to provide that.
At Wes Reynolds 1 on X, give him a follow. Thank you, Wes. Good luck to you, buddy.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
Don't forget our friends at the law offices of O.C. Brown. Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, dedicated to protecting your rights, fighting for the justice you deserve. His great team of attorneys. Thank goodness for Dana Brown in his law office, because, what is a letter of testonomy? What is secession? What is this? Yes, these are things you need when your loved ones pass. And, man, thank goodness they have been there to kind of ease the stress of this more than stressful red tape and these type of procedures that you have to go through in these times. That's right. Another instance of where Charlie or myself have used Dana's team of specialized attorneys at different stages of our lives for different reasons. Do like I did. Call 343-1111 or go to ocbrown.com and schedule your free consultation today.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We're also brought to you by the Thibodeau Store. Black Friday deals are now on the website at thethibodeaustore.com, which gets you to all 4 properties. The Thibodeau Store, the Pierrepont Store, the LaRose, and the Lockport stores just recently opened. Black Friday deals, including lots of, first of all, there's over 125 different deals that are available on the website. The first half dozen or so involve security equipment for your home. The outdoor security cameras and the keyless entry door locks are all on special right now at thethibodeaustore.com. Also, obviously, lots of hardware items. Sawhorses are on special right now. Painting equipment, extension cords. Too many to name, but check it out at thethibodeaustore.com. It'll get you to all of the different properties that they have. Same day pickup on almost all of these items, and delivery available on a number of these items, and that includes lumber out of the Pierrepont Store. So check them out. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux for the Thibodeau Store, Highway 70 in Pierrepont for the Pierrepont Store, and thethibodeaustore.com. Saints made a pair of trades yesterday. We got the first one before we got off the air. Excuse me. The second one involved Trevor Penning. Right before the deadline, they shipped him to the Chargers for would be a 6th-round pick. So the Saints get a little bit of draft value recouped. So in the 26th draft, they're sitting on a pick in the 1st round, which is currently number 1 overall. Man, that Jets game is big. 2nd round, 3rd round, 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and 1 in the 6th. Remember that they traded their 7th-round pick for Davin Godshaw. They also traded one of their 4th-round picks to Denver for Devon Valet, who they have not used hardly at all. And then in 27, where they have also traded a pick for Jalen Polk, who's been on injured reserve all season. They pick up an additional choice there. So that was the choice that they got for Penning. More draft capital, Jimmy. That's a good thing.
Well,
they weren't going to re-sign either one of those
The bad
guys.
part of that is you're getting a 6 for which you invested a 1.
Yeah.
Okay. And, well, if you can get anything for that guy who, I mean, let's face it, they just got cut him, huh?
They weren't going to re-sign him.
Okay.
Yeah, they did let his contract was up.
So get a 6 instead of nothing?
It's 6 instead of nothing. That's basically what it is.
You're being a seller.
When they did pick up his option, the writing was on the wall. They tried to salvage it by moving him to guard. He's been
Well, this is
not
part
good.
of what we wanted preseason, to be a seller.
No,
I mean, sorry. I mean,
I wish they would have. I wish they would have.
It's got to get worse before it can get better.
Yeah, I wish they would have, sold off more guys yesterday. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I understand you got to have takers, and it's got to be right. I mean, you can't just give people
Yeah,
away. But yeah, outside of the 2 tackles that they've drafted in the first round the last 2 years, there's nobody else that I would have said, no, don't trade them.
I know you said that you're convinced that they were not going to re-sign Shaheed. Okay, but if I have my druthers. I just want the guy. The Chris Olaves in the NFL are more a dime a dozen than the Rashid Shaheeds. Shaheed can do things that very few, if any, can do.
Yeah.
Olave, it's kind of he can be really good, but his hands are not dependable enough to where he's solid. He should be better. We get that.
Yeah.
He could be better, but he hasn't been, and we've seen enough. And he's got a wrist injury as well. I think more of Shaheed over the next 5 years than Olave.
I think of Olave
3 to 5 years, whatever it is.
And they picked up the option on Olave. I'm very nervous about them going all in on a long-term deal with him. I think as a number 1 receiver, he's near the bottom. I think as a number 2 receiver, he would be closer to middle to top 12.
Definitely bottom as a 1.
As a 1,
We're
no, he's
definitely
near the bottom as a 1.
Come on.
I think he'd be a very good 2. I think he's a very below average 1.
He's just not dependable, whether it's health or hands.
Yeah,
take your pick.
If
this
it's
is a bad
me,
combination.
I would have rather traded him, and I understand that they wanted they wanted at least a 3. And apparently couldn't get it.
Guys that can get over the top, that are not afraid to catch the ball over the middle, that catch the ball in traffic with their hands. I mean, dependable hands and that type of over-the-top speed. Ain't many, man. Ain't many.
I told you I would have rather signed Shaheed, but if they weren't going to do that, go ahead and get something for him.
But generally speaking, you got to be a seller. You have to be a seller. Wait, that's not a given with this group.
No, it's
okay.
not.
All right,
they're
it's not a given.
This season is going not exactly, but pretty much the way I wanted it to go. This is what a rebuild looks like. We've been saying that since the summer. Okay, you're going to lose most of your games. Some of them you're not going to even be competitive in. You're trying to see if you got some young guys in there. They have put some of those young guys in there. Now you're on the quarterback. You're obtaining some draft choices. You've cut some of the fat off of the salary cap. You got some more to do this offseason. The last move is the one that's the most important, the one they still haven't made. Getting more draft choices is great. If Mickey Loomis is making the picks, I got no hope.
Well, okay, and that's where I'm getting to my point, and that is it takes a football knowledge or acumen to kind of evaluate a lot of front office moves, okay? Yeah. Anybody, even Miss Gale, whatever, can see you've invested a 1 and you're getting a 6.
Yeah.
And that's scoreboard. Kind of like your GM scoreboard is your salary cap, situation.
And your draft picks.
Where they rank there, in last year's, well, that can't be good. Who's your general manager that's overseeing that? So, yeah.
And she'll definitely be able to see the Superdome the last 2 months of the season. And I don't think it's going to be too pretty.
Don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. Now, I mean, it's pleasant. The weather is awesome. So you're really not thinking about, an AC repair, and you're not thinking about heating safety check. Man, Total Maintenance came to the house yesterday, gave me a window of time. They contacted me when they're about 20 minutes out, came over, and 35, 45 minutes, something like that. He did everything, ran the heaters, made sure everything was in place, talked about some of the advantages of doing some ultraviolet, lights and things like that. So, look, man, it was easy peasy, very professional. Text, convenient, let us know, and friendly, polished technician as well. So, man, I can't talk well enough about the folks over at Total Maintenance. Again, Lucas Ragusa, he's been involved in the heating and AC business for a long, long time, so he understands what it takes to put a quality operation together. Again, now also get great deals on replacing that unit that's over 10 years old that has been repaired recently. You're going to get a much better deal now than you will in the summer when it breaks again from Carrier, American Standard, Dakin, or Rheem. Total Maintenance, 480-1000.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Pelicans got in the win column last night. They were back in action tonight in Dallas, 8.5-point choice at the Mavs. And Maction, if you didn't get enough Maction last night, some more Maction tonight. 2 games, both starting at 6
Pels
o'clock.
Got bet last night, didn't cover. How about that?
Which one?
The Pels. They got
right.
bet.
They were a favorite.
They moved them from a pick 'em a 1 to like 4.5 or 3.5 or something.
Yeah, Zion Williamson was out. His hamstring hurts. 7 to 10 days.
I'm done going for free tickets. I'll go, but done spending one dime to go sit there and get told 45 minutes before tip that he's not playing.
So I'm telling you, for the next 7 to 10 days, he's not playing. He'll probably pass that.
Oh well, no, you don't know when he's playing. You don't know any of these cats. So
no.
It's funny that some a lot of the veteran players or ex-players, man, but Jordan, you kind of, will the NBA listen when he speaks? He got to do.
He let it out pretty good. He says, "I play because somebody came to see me play."
Paid.
Yes.
Yes.
Paid. Yeah.
Yes. But
that means something. What's for Thanksgiving lunch?
Yeah, well, Thanksgiving at Roca, again, of course, from the Go Eats family, Modesto and Roca, where we rotate, bi-monthly. But I've used them the last couple of years, and it's really good stuff. I highly recommend it. The Thanksgiving menu for Roca, the bundles, the turkey, all the sides. The Black Friday eats, it includes smoked brisket, meatballs, Brussels sprouts, mac and cheese, spinach and artichoke dip. Available for pre-order now through 5 p.m. Saturday, November 22nd. That's the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And pickup is 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. the day before Thanksgiving. And it is very, very efficient process.
Tomorrow next door at Walk-Ons. We'll see you then. Stay tuned for Hunt on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.